just have a listen to this. Hey guys, welcome back to Allcarnews, and we are here with a special vehicle. This is the 2024 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 Final Edition. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a call. Hey guys, how's it going? You're continuing to make the Final Edition for another model year, but I thought it was a Final Edition. It's still okay. I got it. Well, yeah, guys, so this may be a 2024, but the Wrangler 392 is still going to be made for another model year due to high demand. So I'm not sure how much of a true final edition it actually is, but it still technically is going to be the last run of these 6.4 liter 392 cubic inch V8s in the Wrangler. And this is pretty much the ultimate edition you can get as of right now. It's over $100,000 as configured, though Jeep has thrown in lots of fun goodies for you, like this giant winch and steel modular bumper up front here. But we'll dive into all those details throughout this video. But the real highlight of this vehicle, of course, is that engine and how it transforms this Wrangler into a lifting up monster of surprising speed. So of course, before we go take a full tour of this 2024 Wrangler Rubicon Final Edition, and of course, even though they are making the 2025 one as well, the highlight of this car still is the 392 engine under the hood that Jeep was able to stuff into this Wrangler. And stuff, I mean stuff. If you have not seen under the hood of Wrangler 392, that engine is jam-packed in there really tight. It is, of course, that 6.4 liter SRT derived HEMI V8. And in this particular application, it's making around 470 horsepower and torque, sent through an 8-speed automatic gearbox, of course, to all four wheels, to Jeep's impressive four-wheel drive system in this Rubicon model. Of course, we have that transfer case, we have our locking differentials, and of course the disconnecting sway bars up front as well. So you have plenty of capability over here. But one of the most interesting things, aside from this engine that Jeep was able to develop, is this thing right up here called the Hydro Guide. And essentially what it does is, if you are in true off-roading conditions, you're in some deep water, you're going through a lot of rough trails, and you have water splashing up onto your vehicle, you don't want that going into your engine, especially your 6.4 liter V8. So what this whole system is designed to do is essentially direct the water away from the engine's intake system, and it can actually process around 15 gallons of water to get out of there before sending fresh air into the engine. So that's honestly quite impressive. And this vehicle is already so high off the ground, I really wouldn't even worry about water getting into the engine. But this is another reassurance that you really can take your Jeep Wrangler in all conditions. So what's new on the visual front, and especially for this vehicle, what are you getting for your $100,000 plus price tag? Well, one of those standard factory installed features is this entire steel bumper array up here. As you can see here, we have some fog lights integrated into it, as well as this Warn winch, which is rated to tow 8,000 pounds of force. And there is a controller inside that plugs right into the side of this watertight seal over here to control this winch. So that is a pretty useful feature, especially coming standard if you are in some off-road situations and you need to get yourself or a friend out of a pickle. Some other nice little situations up here is this three-pronged grill protector over here to kind of protect your whole area from some branches or debris if you are in some off-roading conditions. And of course, we have those iconic Wrangler LED circle lights over here, which still look quite nice. Some nice little Jeep accents in here. And of course, the facelifted style Wrangler grille we saw for the 2023 and 2024 model years. Otherwise, it's pretty much a Wrangler Rubicon throughout, with a whole bunch of unique graphics and detailings that make this the final edition. As we can see on the side here, we have the Rubicon badge with this unique kind of bronze gold trim. And that also carries over to the hood with the 392 badge and that same unique trim. So overall, I think it's a pretty nice, unique package, and I am a huge fan of this particular paint finish, which is around a $500 to $600 option on top of the price of this vehicle. So nice touches here, but is it really all worth that $100,000 price tag aside from that V8? Oh, but that's not all. Of course, we are getting standard these absolutely massive 35-inch BF Goodrich all-terrain rubber on all four wheels, which are definitely going to help you in some off-road conditions, and you definitely have room to install crazier and larger tires if you do see fit. And these are coming with these exclusive beadlock capable bronze finished 17-inch wheels, which I think look absolutely fantastic. And I also like the little old Jeep Wrangler on the side of it of the past. Nice little accents there, and your brakes are hidden behind these beadlock wheels. I think the whole package visually looks quite nice, and of course this is going to offer you some great capability. Now believe it or not, I honestly think there's a lot more stuff going on at the rear end of this Wrangler 392 than even the front, and yes, there's a V8 up there, but there's some pretty interesting things going on back here as well. Of course, we mentioned the wheels. We have this really cool paint finish. We are getting that metal gas cap as well, but we also have a full-size rear tire back here and another beadlock capable wheel set, so in total you do get 5 of those as well. We are also getting some more unique bronze badging back here, but open up the rear tailgate and you will find back here a unique little picnic table mounted into the rear door that does open up. It is fully metal, very old school, nice touch here, Jeep, I will say that, and it opens up to be this nice little metal picnic tray with a little old Willys Jeep on there, Jeep logo, and we have an air compressor on the side over here to fill up your tires if you do need so, or friend's tires. And of course, as a Wrangler, our rear glass is going to pop up if you do have this particular one-touch roof option, which is $4,000 in addition to this price tag already. And Jeep is also throwing in an absolutely massive toolkit with this vehicle that is honestly very heavy, but I do really like the bag it comes in. It looks quite nice, and you can open it up to help fix your Wrangler or fix another off-road vehicle if you're on a trail situation. And of course, as all Wranglers have, if you pop open this little panel over here, you have all these little indented ports here if you want to take off your doors and store your screws right there. Really nice touch, as well as some storage bags as well. I believe that might be even for the windshield if you do want to kind of put that down. But you have a lot of nice storage capabilities back here. We have a nice big speaker for our speaker system, for our subwoofer. And of course, you know, as a Wrangler, you're not going to get the most amount of rear cargo space, but I do like the little amenities that they have thrown in to make this vehicle go over that $100,000 price tag. And of course, I have to point out the bronze colored tow recovery hitches back there as well. Overall, visually nice, cool package, and I like the little additions that Jeep has thrown in to make this vehicle a little bit more special for what it is. But as of going on throughout this video, it's still not technically the final edition, and it's still pretty expensive for essentially what it is, a Wrangler Rubicon with a V8. But the real best part about the rear end of this Wrangler 392 is this hidden quad-tipped exhaust system, which is the Jeep Performance Exhaust, obviously by Mopar. And oh boy, is it loud. It has one button to turn it on and one button to put it in quiet mode. And there is a galactic difference, a ground-shaking difference between the two exhaust functions, that this thing can go from waking up everyone in your entire neighborhood to maybe waking up just your nearby neighbors. Okay, let's hop inside of the Wrangler 392 Rubicon now. And of course we have our typical Jeep key here. Nothing is too different, and we still have that classic key fob here if you do still want to put in the doors, as well as open and lock some stuff manually, which may still be useful. But let's go hop in and check out the rear of the Jeep first. Of course, this particular 392 can only be had in the 4-door version of your Wrangler. You cannot get it in the regular 2-door. And of course, we actually have keyless access on this Wrangler, which is a nice touch. It opens all 4 doors when you do that. Really like that feature. And of course, you can remove the doors on your Wrangler. Coming inside, I always love in Wranglers how wide you can open the rear doors, and getting in is honestly a little bit of a hassle in this particular one, just because if there's no side steps for people who may not be able to hop in there as easily, and it's a pretty high off the ground vehicle. Thankfully, we do have this grab handle here if you do want to grab in pretty easily. And let's hop inside. And pretty easy to get in. Now I'm sitting behind myself, and you know, Wranglers are not the biggest vehicles. So all these off-roaders in this general class are not generally that long, because you don't want a super long wheelbase. So as you can see here, it's a little bit tight sitting behind myself, but I technically do still have a lot of foot room. Just I could move my seat up a little bit, and it would give me a little bit more knee room back here as a passenger. Though we do have some nice storage back here on the back of the seats. We do have leather on these seats. These are Napa leather seats with this really unique stitching on here for this particular 392 final edition model. And we have typical amenities of a Wrangler back here. We have air vents, we have our window controls, a 115 volt outlet here, as well as 2 USB-C and 2 USB-A ports, which is a really nice touch. And everything has a cover here to make sure it's kind of water protected if needed. We have some storage little pieces down here, which is nice. And we can see this liner on the floor here, which is coming apart right here in the center, which can be easily put back in. It's all rubber to protect the carpet that is underneath over here. And there are little Easter eggs throughout the entirety of this vehicle. We do also get cup holders back here, which are built into the headrest, which is a fun, funky feature. I like that. So just have nice amenities back here. And of course, the doors themselves, there really isn't much to them, as they can come off. Though it is still nice. We still have power mirror, power windows back here. And you do have a little bit of a side storage cubby for the doors as well. Otherwise, nothing too crazy back here. Looking straight directly above us, we have these absolutely massive speakers built into this top support bar over here, as well as some nice LED light accents here, which are, you can just touch them, turn them on and off. So honestly, pretty well integrated back here. And again, it's a Wrangler. It's a very nice, spacious cabin. I think overall, it's a pretty nice place to be in. And that solid door thunk sounds really, really nice as well when you're opening and closing your vehicle. Now, getting up front in the Wrangler, again, keyless access, nice sound when we open it and close the doors. Opening our front doors here, again, nothing too crazy. We do have our lock and unlock buttons on the side doors over well, which obviously you're not going to need if the doors are off. So I think it's fine to be mounted on the door. Coming inside, we can see we have these unique Rubicon 392 edition seats over here, which had this leather wrap on them, and again, that unique stitching and accents all around with this kind of gold bronze color. I think it's a really nice touch. And I do have to, again, mention this roof. This is a near $4,000 option. It's that fixed power sunshade roof, so it has this kind of cloth top finish here, but it's very thick, it's very strong, sportive, honestly pretty good quality of a roof. We do have these nice all-weather floor mats in here with the Jeep logo, kind of a mountainous terrain design over here. And let's hop inside. Again, no steps to get in, but we do have a kind of holder and handle to get in right here. Hopping inside, shutting the door up, and we're inside of our Wrangler 392 final edition. And of course, as a facelifted version of the Wrangler, we are getting the new generation screen over here, which is a huge improvement over previous. So let's start this monster up. We have our start stop button here. Oh, and it thunders to life. I really like this little animation we get over here. 392, there's a little Jeep Willys riding across the bottom over there. Really nice touch over there. And here is our interior of the 392 edition Wrangler. And of course, right off the bat here, you're going to notice the steering wheel, it looks like it's lifted straight off of like a Hellcat model, which I'm pretty sure it is. They just kind of fit all the Jeep components on the centerpiece. We have that nice stitching as well, that contrasted gold bronze stitching. And I really do like this steering wheel. I've liked it in like the Wrangler Hellcat. I'm pretty confident it's the same one as well. You can see that gold accent goes across the entirety of the dashboard. We have it on the seats, like I mentioned, as well as the center console area over here. It's pretty much all over the place, and it's a nice little contrasting touch. We have paddle shifters, which are those tiny little stubby paddle shifters on FCA products we've come to know now. And of course, the real big change for this Jeep and the whole 2024 model year Jeeps is this infotainment system here. So this is the much larger new generation Uconnect infotainment system. We have wireless CarPlay, Android Auto, voice control. This one is getting heated and seats for both front passenger and driver, as well as a heated steering wheel as well. And it's pretty quick to use, actually. I really don't have any major complaints with this infotainment system whatsoever. And it looked quite nice as well. And as you on our left-hand panel here, we have pretty simple stuff. You can control these different widget style displays over here. I set this up to have some shortcuts here. Lots of things you can do in this vehicle. You can access your front camera as well as a rear camera pretty easily on the screen, and you can also access a whole bunch of other different informations like your adventure guides and trail logs, so you can search for trails in your area, which is a really fun touch. So here it gives you a map of the area and where you can find different trails. You can save different trail recordings and stuff. It's a lot of cool stuff here that Jeep is giving you access to now on the infotainment system. And of course, we can access our off-road pages, which is going to give us even more information, so we can see all the status of our entire drivetrain. We have our different transfer cases and lockers. We can see all of our accessory gauges for the V8 engine, which is a nice little touch here. And you can print this information in that little center display as well. We also have pitch and roll information. Of course, that front-facing camera once again will show up. And I like how they incorporate your kind of coordinates over here as well, and what status of that transfer case and everything. Really cool stuff over here. So nice information. Other than that, nothing too crazy. We have basic built-in navigation. We have a comfort display for our air climate controls, phone stuff, and vehicle controls, which is pretty much all the stuff we just saw. So that's pretty much it with this infotainment system. There's really not much to it. This little center display here does get a little bit more information than this. So we're going to see a fuel economy information, which On this vehicle, you don't really want to see adaptive cruise control. It does have it, but it doesn't have any sort of lane keep assist whatsoever. It just kind of follows the vehicle in front of you. You need to take control of your lane and steering. We can see some drivetrain information up here, as well as that same pitch and roll information, oil temp, and all those nice accessory gauges we saw before, as well as speed and a few other different pages over here. So nothing too crazy, but I do like that we actually still have these analog gauges. I think they look nice. They kind of look cool with the V8 naturally revving up all the way up there to like 6,000 or 7,000 RPM. It just sounds monstrous. But I do like how they still have the separate climate controls here. And note that there is an exhaust dedicated button that turns on and off the performance exhaust. You really hear that rumble increase the second you press that button. It is a noticeable difference. And you do actually get parking sensors only on the rear of the Wrangler, not up front. We also have a kind of hill descent control style system as well. You can turn the screen off quickly if you want to, if it's bothering you. No passenger display, thankfully. We don't need that on a Wrangler. You don't want a lot of technology on here. Window controls over here, as we normally see, 12-volt socket, all of your nice ports and outlets right there. We have 4 auxiliary outlets over there to kind of connect auxiliary stuff too. So these are pre-wired, which is a nice touch. And obviously, since this is a Rubicon version of the Wrangler with that 392 V8 under the hood, we can turn off our front and rear and differentials from this button. If they're locked, then you can lock them by flipping this button up and down. And we can disconnect our front sway bar by pressing this button, and we can access the new Off-Road Plus feature. So Off-Road Plus, essentially what it does is it's going to turn off traction control, and it's going to give you 2 drive modes actually. So you're going to have 4-wheel drive high, Off-Road Plus active. So it's really going to be an enhanced version of this system to kind of tune into more like a sand or snow style scenario. So it's an interesting new feature that Jeep's incorporating. I quite like it. It's a little bit more of a change up because this vehicle doesn't really have any drive modes. You're really doing everything manually by changing this transfer case from like 4 high auto, 4 high part-time, or 4 low. And I really like this shifter design here. It's the same Wrangler shifter design, but it has this little 392 final edition logo right up top there. It's a really nice unique touch there, which I quite like. Still have a nice manual leather wrapped emergency brake as well, which is a nice touch. 2 big cup holders up here, no wireless charging or any of that in this interior. Coming over to the center console area over here, we can open up this top portion here, and this is where someone has placed the tools to open up your doors. So you really just kind of use this to kind of unscrew the roof, the doors, the mirrors, a whole bunch of different parts of the vehicle can be dismantled with this one little kit, which is a cool touch. You can put those stored in the rear trunk area, like I mentioned before. Nice little kind of camo gripped pattern over here, which is nice. Then it opens up to reveal even more storage over here. Some sunglasses in here, as well as someone has placed the winch controller here. So we have that Warn winch controller here that plugs into the winch, and you can kind of control its motions with this. Really cool, nice grips on there as well. And I think it stores well in here. You also have a USB A port in there if you do need some additional charging functions, but decent amount of storage in here, and this armrest itself is pretty comfy. Like I mentioned before, we do have that nice interior accent lighting built into the center bar, which actually is really bright. And then we come to the beast itself. This roof is just, the mechanism, looking at it visually is just crazy. How it opens and closes is insane. It almost looks like an actual convertible. You can just push it once to open and close, or you can kind of hold it to control the application if you've never experienced this roof before. But press it once and you'll see it kind of unlatches itself, and then it just starts going all the way back. You can stop it at any point and it will just keep going all the way back, and it looks pretty interesting folded up there. Just check this out. It really is like a convertible rooftop, and this is not the only vehicle they offer this on. I think I've seen this on like a Renegade or a Cherokee in the past. Really cool feature here, and honestly I haven't really had any issues with it. Other than that, you cannot open and close it on the highway at speed. So if it's open, it's going to stay open. If it's closed, it's going to stay closed at higher speeds. It does need to be operated at a lower speed situation. Nonetheless, I think it's a nice feature actually, and it kind of reduces the stress of having to remove the entire roof panels to kind of get that nice access to fresh air in your Wrangler. Other than that, there really is not much to kind of talk about in the Wrangler. It's been the Wrangler like this for a while. Really just that new Uconnect system. We have our automatic headlight controls here, and since this is not a 4xe, we don't get our kind of battery control switches over here. So instead we get this nice little Easter egg plate over here. And I also want to point out that this does have this Corning Gorilla Glass up front. Now, there are a few manufacturers that actually have used this, and I believe the Ford GT used it, the most recent Ford GT. It's just a stronger, I guess more rock chip resistant glass, especially it could be useful for some off-roading scenarios as well. Otherwise, let's go take this true beast on a drive. Just have a listen to this. And that was just a light throttle application on the Wrangler 392. And Car and Driver and a few other magazines have actually been able to get this thing somehow around 4 seconds to 60 miles an hour with these aggressive all-terrain rubber and the boxy square nature of the Wrangler, which is quite a surprising feat. But I can totally believe it. This thing is incredibly quick with 470 horsepower and torque going through this ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox. And it's not typically tuned like a normal ZF 8-speed. It's a little bit more slow and sluggish, specifically tuned for this powertrain because it's not inherently a sporty vehicle at the end of the day. But since it is a nice naturally aspirated V8, no supercharger or twin turbos to worry about here, you can rev it all the way out and it just starts building that power higher in that rev range as naturally aspirated engines typically tend to do. And it's just a heaps of fun to drive around. Even in more just cruising around situations, you can kind of hear the low rumbling of the engine as it switches down 4 cylinders for some fuel economy activations. It's just a fun vehicle to drive around. And I think it's really impressive that they were able to even fit adaptive cruise control onto this thing. There's no sort of lane keep assist or anything, but it's still pretty fun to work around. Now, the one downside of, I think, all Wranglers in general is that they don't particularly have well sound insulation, and this one, especially since we have this power one-touch fabric roof, which you can definitely hear some road noise coming in from up there, and all around you essentially is pretty much half this vehicle can kind of take off if you wanted to, like the doors, the roof, the windshield as well. And at higher speeds on a highway situation, these tires are so big that you kind of start feeling the vehicle wander just a little bit across at highway speeds, especially over 60, 70 miles an hour. You're definitely going to notice that a lot more so. And another thing with the Wranglers is that they are not particularly fond of corners and going quick around any sort of corner area, as it's just not what they're designed to do. They're designed to take those low speed, rock crawling maneuvers, disconnecting your sway bars. And, you know, as much as I would love to demonstrate that for you guys, we just don't live in an area over here that we have those impressive, fun off-road trails to go and tackle all the time. And I think most of these Wrangler 392s at the end of the day are going to end up in mall parking lots and in people's driveways. And there will be that few small percent that's going to take them to their full advantages in off-road situations. But as a summer vehicle, even maybe as a second vehicle, wanting to cruise it around town, it's a really fun prospect. And you still have that unique Wrangler charm. It's a lot shorter and narrower and a little bit more agile than you may think it is, especially coming out of something what I just had was a Bronco Raptor. That thing felt like a monster on the road. It was so wide, I felt like I was gonna be edging out of the lanes at all times. This, I don't really have that worry. It's even coming into some parking spaces, you get out of it and you're like, oh, that's a lot narrower than I thought it was going to be. It's narrower than some small compact SUVs on the market today, which is something you don't realize until you get into one and drive it around. But of course, as a sort of quote-unquote final edition, even though they're making this for just one more model year after announcing this was a final edition, it's still got to appreciate this fun aspect to it. There really is nothing like this on the market right now. There's no true Defender anymore. The Defender itself is a unibody platform. Of course, it's very, very capable and you can get a V8, but that costs now $160,000. This, while it's the final edition, it's around $100,000, you can still get a 392 used on the market, probably in the under $80,000 or $70,000 range at this point, as they've been on sale for quite a bit sometimes now. So if you want a Wrangler V8 and don't want to spend loads of money doing an aftermarket conversion, it's kind of nice that Jeep was able to stuff it in themselves, and especially put the 6.4 liter unit in it as well with that SRT tuning. And of course, you can open up your one-touch power soft top pretty easily, just press this button, and then you can really hear that V8 roar at all times around you and above you. And As anyways, guys, thanks for joining me on yet another video, and stay tuned for more coming all car news. Cheers.